If you could peer through the mists of time and return to the Constantinople of 1,000 years ago, you would find that in that sanctuary of gold and marble, all power revolved around a single chamber. It was the realm of the Porphyrogenita, the born in the purple, where only those of the purest imperial blood were ushered into the world. Anna Komnene was the very first miracle born of that place. Tonight, as we sit by the rhythmic flicker of the hearth, let us journey together into her true life, a narrative you need not strive to remember, but simply feel. She was once but a heartbeat away from that jewel-encrusted throne, only to plummet from the clouds at the final hour. The world assumed she would wither away in the solitude of a convent, vanishing into the dust of antiquity. Yet, none could have foreseen that this woman, stripped of her titles, would instead take up the quill. In the stillness of the deep night, she chronicled the splendors and the shadows of an entire epoch. The trajectory of Anna Komnene's life shifted irrevocably amidst a sudden, searing betrayal. It was the night her father, Alexios I, passed from this world. The air in the palace hung heavy, as thick as congealed resin. As the eldest daughter, Anna had long grown accustomed to the obeisance of those around her, having already drafted the very legal codes for her intended reign. Yet, in the shadows of the side hall where she kept vigil for her father, her younger brother John silently seized the signet ring, the ultimate emblem of sovereign authority. In that instant, the ancient laws of the Purple Chamber were shattered. Anna attempted to strike back, reaching out through that conspiracy-laden night to the generals who had once sworn her fealty. But one by one, they averted their gazes. Power slipped through her fingers like shifting sand, ungraspable and gone. It was not a bloody execution, but a gentle yet resolute exile. She was sent to the convent of Kekaritamene at the city's edge, far from the clamor of the harbor's horns. It was behind those heavy iron gates that Anna first learned the art of living with solitude. During her initial years in the convent, Anna's heart was consumed by a stinging fire. She would often sit upon the frigid stone steps, gazing at the distant shimmering waters of the Bosphorus, envisioning the grand banquets of the palace. She harbored a searing resentment for the brother who had usurped her birthright and the mother whose silence had sealed her fate. Such bitterness might have destroyed a lesser woman, but Anna was saved by her soul, forged in the fires of a premier liberal education. She began to re-examine her father, Alexios I, the titan who had rescued the empire from chaos. She realized that if she could not rule the empire, she could at least define its legacy. She began to gather every battle report, every state dispatch, and the whispered secrets tucked away in the recesses of memory. She would write a book, a heroic epic of the Komnenos dynasty. Whenever the deep night fell and the convent bells tolled, Anna would light a solitary, humble candle. The meager flame cast her slender silhouette against the stone walls, as if she were engaged in a low, intimate dialogue with the ghosts of heroes past. Anna's prose was a singular creation, a fusion of feminine sensitivity and imperial majesty. She chronicled how her father contended with the arrogant and boisterous barbarian leaders of the Crusades. She wrote of their astonishment at the splendors of Constantinople even as they sharpened their swords in secret. Within her words, one finds not only the grand scale of battlefields but also the scent of myrrh rising from palace carpets and the rhythmic rustle of silk. She captured the true essence of power, a thing so brilliant, yet so fragile, like a glass lamp placed in a gale. In her writing, she never uttered a word of regret for her lost throne, yet between the lines there permeated a lofty, detached scrutiny. This was more than just a coldness toward her brother John, it was a lucid critique of the era itself. In the hallowed silence of the convent, she achieved an intellectual triumph. She ensured that all future historians would be compelled to view the turbulent Byzantine world through her eyes. Those who once stripped her of her crown have long since returned to dust, while her Alexiad has endured as an eternal masterpiece. Across 30 years within the convent walls, Anna's visage gradually aged, but her heart grew increasingly translucent. She began to weave profound philosophical reflections into her work, meditations on the fickleness of fate and the insignificance of human will. She was no longer the haughty princess who once commanded the Golden Horn, but a sage who had seen through the cycle of worldly affairs. Her descriptions of the empire's grandeur were, in truth, an elegy for the inevitable fading of that very splendor. Whenever her emotions swelled, tears would fall upon the parchment, blurring the ink. These were droplets of longing for her father, and a requiem for her own unfulfilled life. This exquisite melancholy endowed her history with a rare, tranquil power. It does not sing in loud exultation, but speaks in a soft whisper. It tells of the ambitions that once soared over Constantinople, only to eventually sink into the silent depths of the sea. Every twilight, she would watch the sunset from the hills behind the convent, her most serene hour. In that light, she was neither a defeated exile nor a mere chronicler. She was simply Anna, a soul seeking its home in the long river of history. In the late autumn of 1153, Anna Komnene closed her eyes amidst the fragrance of ink and parchment. Her final words perhaps lie hidden within the 15 grand volumes of her magnum opus. She answered the question posed in the prologue. She lost a palace, but won an entire universe. Do you feel it now, that silence spanning 1,000 years? The gold of Constantinople has long since vanished, and the bloodline of the Komnenos has grown faint. Only Anna's words continue to emit a faint, ethereal glow in the deep night. This is a power that requires no struggle, a glory that never withers. Tonight, may you drift into a deep slumber accompanied by the sounds of the rivers she chronicled and the ancient dreams of that eternal city. The world has grown quiet, and it is time for you to let go of the distractions of reality. Good night.